Welcome to Defender's Voice. I'm Dr. Paul. Thank you for joining us today. Please send me your questions to info@drpaul.org. Visit my website, www.drpaul.org, to subscribe to my podcast, to read my articles, and also to understand this ministry. Today's question is Josh McDowell made ugly comments on blacks. Is this right? Now, for introduction, we all know Josh McDowell as the author of the famous book, Evidence That Demand the Verdict. I also have a copy. He wrote many books, wonderful books. He gave a speech on Saturday at the American Association of Christian Counselors. His speech is entitled The 5 Greatest Global Epidemics. He said, critical race theory is the first global epidemic. Some of his comments immediately became controversial. He said that not all Americans have equal opportunities to succeed. They don't, folks. I do not believe blacks, African Americans, and many other minorities have equal opportunity. Why? Most of them grew up in families where there is not a big emphasis on education, security. You can do anything you want. You can change the world. If you work hard, you will make it. So many African Americans don't have those privileges like I was brought up with. So someone posted his speech online. His point that blacks do not teach their children about hard work drew immediate criticism. ASCC removed his speech from its website. Josh McDowell gave an apology on Sunday stating, I quote, racism has kept equality from being achieved within our nation. My comment is a generalized statement that does not reflect reality. I apologize and reiterate my Christian love for all races, nationalities, and people groups. My desire is that we as Christians would deal with both racism and inequality as the sins that they are in order to restore the unity that God desires for all. First of all, let me tell you one thing. Stop giving speeches that draw attention to a particular race or a particular ethnicity. We say that US Constitution is colorblind. The Word of God is also colorblind. Gospel is colorblind. Pastors and apologists should understand it. Black families don't emphasize hard work. That offends black people who watch it or who are in the audience. If you want to emphasize the virtues of hard work, just speak about the virtues of hard work. Don't link it to any particular ethnicity because sensitivity matters. On September 11, 2001, I went to a church for a special prayer meeting for victims of 9/11. This is like 20 years ago. On that day, the terrorists wreaked havoc on America, killing over 3,000 Americans. I was living in Florida at that time, okay? I was shocked by those incidents like everyone else. In the evening, I attended this prayer service for the victims. The pastor gave a speech denouncing terrorism. Every time he talked about the terrorism, he was constantly looking at me. Some of the people in the congregation also started to look at me suspiciously. One person even asked me, are you from Afghanistan? So I felt awkward and uncomfortable when they asked me such questions. The pastor would have denounced terrorism without drawing attention to me. In the same way, Josh McDowell could have denounced critical race theory without making controversial comments about black families. In his speech, he said, I quote, there is no comparison to what is known today as social justice with what the Bible speaks as justice. With CRT, they speak structurally. The Bible speaks individually. Make sure you get that. That's a big difference. He said CRT focuses on structural sins. The Bible focuses on individual sins. That is not the right view. The Bible speaks of both individual sins and structural sins. Read through the Old Testament. God speaks to nations and denounces their national sins. Our individual sins soon become national sins. We have a story in India. Every morning, people collect milk from their farms to send it to a local dairy where that milk is processed, pasteurized, parceled, and transported across the region. You are supposed to squeeze the milk out of the cow and send the pure milk to the collecting center. You should not dilute the milk. You should not add water to increase the quantity. If you got 1 gallon of water from the cow and then you add 1 more gallon of water to it and say, I got 2 gallons of milk, then it is corruption. So the story goes like this. One morning, one milkman says to himself, everyone sends pure milk. Who would know if I add some water to my milk? But unfortunately, lots and lots of people thought like that. They all diluted their milk with water. So when the truck reached the milk plant, they saw what happened. A ton of fake milk, a ton of corrupted milk, a ton of diluted milk. So the moral of that story is individual sins add up quickly into structural sins. We might compromise with sin, saying, I am the only one doing this sin, it won't affect the society. I am the only one lying here. How does it impact society? I am the only one stealing here. How does it impact the society? I am the only one cheating here. How does that impact the society? I am the only one with some racist views. How does it impact the society? So if everyone takes that approach, individual sins quickly become structural sins affecting the whole societies. The Bible denounces both individual and structural sins. CRT's main problem is it exposes the structural sins of one group, the oppressor. It divides society into two groups, the oppressors and the oppressed. It talks a lot about the structural sins of the oppressor and nothing about the structural sins of the oppressed. Okay, let me give you a good example. If you look at the southern border today, tens of thousands of people gathered under the bridges to get into the United States. They are all from countries where people are taught that capitalism, colonialism, and corporate greed are the reasons for their failure. They are from countries where Marxism is the main doctrine of politics. Someone else is the reason why we failed as a nation. You don't see many people from South Korea under that bridge. South Koreans and North Koreans, okay, compare them. South Koreans and North Koreans both were subjected to vicious colonialism for many centuries, but they stopped looking at themselves as victims. South Koreans worked hard and it paid them rich dividends. They built the 10th largest economy in the world. It has just over 50 million people. So South Korea, just with 50 million people, built the 10th largest economy in the world with 2.2 trillion GDP. Samsung, Hyundai, LG Electronics, Pasco, Kia Motors, they became household names around the world. Compare South Korea to North Korea. In North Korea, Kim Jong tells people, you are all victims. America is responsible for your miseries. Marxism is the solution. You need me to save you from America. So critical race theory advocates give the same message. You are victims. America is responsible for your misery and we will save you. That's why tonight you will see people from North Korea under that bridge in Texas, not the people from South Korea. Taking responsibility, working hard, focusing on education are great things. Biblical principles are universal principles. The gospel of Jesus Christ is a universal gospel. They help anybody, anywhere in the world. So Josh McDowell gave a good speech criticizing critical race theory, but spoiled it by comments on African Americans, by insensitive remarks on African Americans. He gave a speech denouncing critical race theory, but in his apology, he ended up supporting the basic tenets of critical race theory. With some precautions, he would have avoided the debacle. So that's my view on that question, folks. So if you have any comments on this particular issue, please feel free to share your comments. Like this video, share this video, and subscribe to my channel. All right. Thank you so much. God bless you.